Try to get me in a room, yeah. Everybody wanna talk, why? Always coming with the tunes, they know I'ma take it far.
Everybody, Dwight here with Jet Gang Watersport.
Wow. This is named the SC20. That is the title of it, made by Excellent Yachting. And then as you can see, some of them, they do base off, they take their inspiration from regular motor vehicles or, you know, sports cars. So this one is inspired by Corvette. You know, it has that Corvette aesthetic look, you know, design, but it is not a Corvette, you know, so I have to be careful with that. It is inspired by Corvette.
Like that.
Do they technically drive the same, or can you feel the difference when you're in?
As far as just like a car and like a boat? Yeah, I mean, that's actually a good question, because when you first get in one, it's kind of just like that first 15 minutes, you gotta get accustomed to it.
Right.
Because psychologically, you have a steering wheel, you have pedals, you're driving a car psychologically, but you're on the water. So those wheels are not moving, right? You're being jet propelled.
Okay.
So the first 10, 15 minutes, it definitely is an acclimation process.
All right.
You know, because you just got to psychologically understand what you're doing, and the water can be dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not controlling it, not letting it control you. Now back to your point, they are safer than jet skis because you're sitting inside of them, right? So you're sitting inside, as well as you have a larger mass hull of fiberglass that is controlling the water a lot better. So I would say it is in between from a safety standpoint. It's well above a jet ski, and then kind of just below like a yacht or a small fishing boat.
Now I would try these, but you know what this reminds me of, honestly? These are very beautiful, but it reminds me of when my kids were growing up. I would buy them those cars that had the batteries and what have you. So this is what it reminds me of. It really does. So it's amazing. These I love because it has the almost the real look.
Yeah, exactly.
To the rims and everything. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Now you told us all about how you got there. One thing you said I love. Well, two things. One, you said I found my niche.
Right.
The second thing you said is I stay in my lane. And that's one thing that I know a lot of business owners, and I say this all the time, and especially about, I'm not even gonna say just restaurants. A lot of businesses, they say, oh, this business is doing this. Let me do this. You gotta figure out what you're good at, what works for your business, and make it happen.
Correct.
You took something that a regular person wouldn't have thought of, and you made it very lucrative.
Right.
Not just lucrative for you, but you made something that a person can't go to anywhere and get it.
Exactly.
And even if they try to go get it, they're not going to necessarily get the same service and education that you're providing to them. You also said something else that really rings my bell, because I do this, I tell my agents this all the time, is that you're not selling people houses. You're really not selling them these cars.
Right.
You're selling yourself.
Yeah.
Because once people trust you in the education that you're giving them, the professionalism, and then when they figure out how did you get to that point, so he's not really in it just to make money.
Right.
He wants to really be educated and give us something that's different. Then guess what? Once they feel they can trust you, you can pretty much, because look, I tell you, I don't do the water, but you could probably sell me one of these.
I could.
You know, I'm just being
15
honest.
minutes.
I'm just saying, you know, and Chad will tell you, ain't too many people can sell me. But no, I mean, honestly, that's very important.
Yes.
To your business. And I'm gonna be honest, I've never, because I don't just get, I'm telling you, I'm just scared of the water.
Yeah.
But I see something like this, I will be like, okay, I'll try it, because I like speed. But I mean, it's just amazing. And then you said you can customize it.
Yeah.
So like if I ordered one of these, I can get it pink if I want, with black and all that good stuff,
colors.
and everything, and then the lights and the
Lighting
music
works.
and all that.
Yeah.
You guys do all of that. Now let me ask you another question. How long from the time of me placing an order, if I want it customized, how long would that take? Does that depend on what I'm asking for? Or?
Yes, that's a good question. And so you're running, you know, about 30 to 45 days from the time that you make the purchase to a complete product line distribution, right, or completion. Now, again, it depends on your model, your style, the time that you buy, you know, what you're buying. All of those things can vary, but I would say at the most 90 days. in the current, market analysis for something completely customized, right? Now you do have some particular models that are on back order because of the interests of them and the demand. But you're about 90 days max. If you have something that we have on the showroom floor, let's just use this as an example. This could actually be, transitioned into a completion from a product line standpoint in about 5 to 7 days. Wow. But that also depends on how many orders in the queue. If Chad buys before you, well, guess what? You're behind Chad now. So that's how that works.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Very important. I normally would have led with this.
Okay.
Jet Gang.
Yes.
How did we get there?
That's a good question.
The name. I'm always interested in business.
Yeah,
How did you get to the name?
I'll just be honest. I'll be transparent. At this point, it doesn't really have much of a significance.
Okay.
When I started the jet ski rental company, I thought of kind of like groups, right?
Okay.
People travel in groups, and at first I was just thinking like, like a biker gang and like, groups of people, and I wanted to appeal to. At that time, I wanted to really appeal to kind of like your influencers, right? And I wanted to appeal to like the 20 to 30-year-old range of influencers because I was renting, right?
Exactly.
And I wanted them to rent. And so I was just thinking kind of like, what is the verbiage and the things that they use, and it's kind of like the groups, the gangs and things like that, in a positive kind of way, right? And not all gangs are, bad. I think that like there's like for some animals, like a gang of a specific animal is just the title of the group. And I did also realize that most people don't just rent jet skis by themselves.
Right.
They rent in groups. So it's kind of like a group of people that want to rent jet skis, and that's kind of how it came together. And I did kind of when we transitioned the business into the jet cars, it was one thing that was in the back of my mind, like how is this relative to a dealership? And I brought it back to kind of like the group family aspect, so my employees, we are a family, a gang, a group, and so it's also like an inclusive kind of thing. I want all of my customers, my employees, all to feel inclusive, that they're a part of something, and not just your standard business structure of owner who's demanding behind behind an office. And I don't even like to be called boss or owner. With my employees, I tell them all the time, we are coworkers. I just pay the bills. That's pretty much it. That's the only difference between us. So that's how that derived.
Okay.
I have a question.
So,
me knowing you on a personal level, one of my brothers, speak about and tell everybody how leaving corporate, going out on your own, that jump, and how you felt. And
that's a good one. So I previously, as Chad knows, I was in the healthcare industry for 10 years, but as a recruiter. So I did staffing, talent acquisition, recruiting, and to answer your question, it was rough, because I had to buy into myself. There were the benefits, there were the structure, and I used to always too kind of be like, was I disciplined? Because I had to go into the office 8 to 5, and I needed that, and I will be very transparent, felt that from a very immature way that like, there's no way in hell I could be a business owner because I'm going to be hanging out, but then I started to realize that I actually needed that structure and discipline in order to mature, to bet on myself and say, you have to get up and you have to go work your business because you need to and you're in control. And so there was a period of actually, using leverage and kind of combining the two, where I was working full time and the business at the same time. It was hard, but I think that it also helped me overall, mentally and emotionally, to discipline myself more. And it flowed into the other areas of my life to where, you know, I had to structure my mindset of like, you know, you're in control now. No one else is controlling you. You're in control. So, you know, how are your decisions made differently now that you're in control versus somebody else saying that you have to be at work, you know, at a certain time and when you can leave versus how do you navigate that in life? So it was, there were some ups and downs, and I think that all business owners, especially small, you know, they navigate that and juggle it, but it really ultimately comes down to discipline. That's what it comes down to.
Right. Piggyback on to Chad's question, and I asked everybody this: why? What's your why? You were in corporate, you were secure. Okay, I got insurance.
Yeah.
I can clock in the job.
Yeah.
You know, they might fire you when they want to. But one thing I'm a strong believer: everybody's not a leader. Everybody's not
Okay.
a boss.
Yeah.
Some people are made to be owners,
Yes.
but everyone is not a boss.
That's very true.
Because being a boss, and I love what you said. Hey, my coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I say the same thing. I call my agents my partners. You know, whatever. Okay, yeah, I pay the bills, but it takes all of us to make this work.
Yep.
So why would you leave that secure nest to, what was that why? It had to be a why. It can't just be, oh, I see people making money, and don't tell me it was COVID.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. It was not, working for someone else was not self-fulfilling.
Okay.
The self-fulfillment of being able to set your own goals, set your own parameters, reach them yourself based on the fruits of your own labor, you know, and building a brand and building with others, you know, and also to providing other people the opportunity to have jobs based off of what you built. You know, family is another big thing. You know, my family has always told me since I was young, you know, that I was going to be an entrepreneur. They saw it before I saw it, but then I realized like I needed to see it and I needed to do it. So I think it was also just, you know, I really wanted to have that self-fulfillment of, you know, what am I waking up and doing every single day that is self-fulfilling? And I wasn't filling my own cup. I was filling somebody else's cup, and